welcome to Watch It, Paint It. So today I'm going to be doing something a little bit exciting, and I'm going to be painting a model from Street Masters Rise of the Kingdom. This is a game currently on Kickstarter, and Blacklist Games were kind enough to send me some prototype models to paint for a tutorial. A word of warning, these models are currently prototypes and they're made of poly resin, so they're not the final version that will be produced. As for the game itself, I haven't played it. Looks pretty cool on the Kickstarter, but I'll leave a link in the description below and you guys go and check it out for yourselves, see what you think. Let me know what you think, and I hope you enjoy the tutorial. I'm going to be painting Drago today, a model from within the game. And this is what he looks like in the concept art, and here's a painted version you can see on their Kickstarter. As normal, I'll show you all the colours that I use in the tutorial at the beginning, and I'll also put these in the description in the link below. So here's Drago before I've started painting him. He comes in the poly resin and he starts off grey here. Because it is a poly resin as opposed to the normal resin plastics, I am able to paint straight on this prototype. So I'm skipping the primer step here, and I'm going straight onto base coating, starting with charred brown. I'm going to use this charred brown for his boots, as you can see here. And as normal with most of the base coating I do, I'm using my regiment brush by the Army Painter. I'm applying a slightly watered down consistency and applying it evenly throughout the boots. I'm next picking up Cayman green by Vallejo, and this I'm going to be painting his sort of army dungarees with this green, again using the regiment brush and applying a thin, quick, even coat all over his trousers. Being extra careful around the boots, as these are now the colour I want them to be and don't want to have to touch them up. And I'm just going back with the charred brown to do his belt, which I missed in the first passing with the brown. For the final colour of the base coat, we're going to be using leather brown. I think when I looked at the artwork on the Kickstarter originally, I saw him as a sort of warm tanned character as opposed to a black character. So the painting might be slightly off compared to the artwork for this model, but I think by the end I'm still fairly happy with how he looks, despite the slight differences in skin tone. So there, regiment brush again, just applied evenly all over, and hopefully you can see there. That's as easy as the base coat was. Fairly simple, and it's already looking much better than the grey. And here's a still quite close so you can see more clearly what's happened. Let us know if those are helpful. I'm just trying that out for the first time in this video. So next I'm tagging in a friend of mine, Benson, and he's going to be doing the highlighting up for me, as this is a very small model and I wanted to produce a good video at the beginning. So he's mixing his own shades and he's going to highlight up the lighter areas of the model. So he's taken the Cayman green there and as well Vallejo's Camouflage green, and he's mixing it by the look of it about 50-50 at the moment. And you can see he's just produced a slightly lighter green than the original Cayman green. He's using the fine detail brush, or insane detail brush, sorry, by the Army Painter. You can see he's just applying it very carefully to all the parts of his trousers that would be catching the light, leaving the shadows with the darkest Cayman green. Just speeding forward a little bit here. He's finished the front and moving on to doing the same at the back. Just lightening up all of his trousers in the raised parts of the model. So you can already see the really dark creases in his jeans coming along nicely there. Next he's going to mix the next highlight step, so taking the Cayman green again and mixing in more of the camouflage green. And you can see on the mixing tray, which is a Pringles lid, if anybody's noticed that, and I'm running out of clean Pringles lids, so if anybody wants to fund those, I do love salt and vinegar Pringles. But as I was saying, as you can see, he's mixing it next to the colour he last used, so you can see the sort of steps in lightness going along. So this is a lighter version. Again, he's using the insane detail brush. and applying it less generously on top of the previously highlighted areas. So a slightly thinner highlight on top of it. And he's moving on to his final highlighting of the green. Again, taking the Cayman green and mixing more of the camouflage green in alongside, as you can see, the previous green he used. So each time you're able to see that it's stepping up in lightness. He's mixing that in with some water as well. Important to remember to keep the paint fairly thin so it flows on nice and evenly. And you can see he's just catching the very raised parts of the model now, the edges of his dungarees, the straps, the top of the dungarees, and the very tips of his kneecaps, and all the very tips of all the previously shaded areas of the model. Hopefully you can see that starting to look very dramatic, very 3D. And I've obviously lied. We've gone for a final step this time, which is pretty much the complete opposite end of the scale, which camouflage green now with a very small amount of Cayman green mixed in. You can see this is quite an extreme jump, and this is for the very sort of just dotting it, as you can see, just the very edges of each of the creases, a tiny bit, just to make it look like the light's shining off the edges of all the folds of clothes, making sure to get the straps on the dungarees on this model. We'll also do the belt loops in the Cayman green there as well. That were just missed on that part of the clip. So here we're going to highlight the skin next. So the first highlight on the skin. As you can see, it's mixing Survivor skin from the Zombicide set with the leather brown, and just mixing that together until it's slightly lighter than the leather brown. As you can see there, remember to add some water as always, just a tiny drop to keep the paint fluid. And here you can see highlighting all of the muscles, still using the fine detail brush, sorry, the insane detail brush every time, depends which company's brushes you're using, but catching each and every sort of part of muscle there. So as always, using the palette next to the previously mixed paint, so you can see that it steps up in lightness, and this time just adding more of the Survivor skin to the leather brown. You can see it's sort of getting paler. Again, just mixing a droplet of water, just making sure the paint will run smoothly again. So back to the detail brush, and here you can see just again highlighting the edges of the previously highlighted parts of the model, just increasing the depth of the highlight really. Just want to keep building this up. Next we're on to highlighting the boots, or the charred brown, so that's the boots and the belt in this case. So we're going to take the charred brown and we're going to mix in a little bit of the leather brown to lighten it up. And that's far too light, so mix in a bit more charred brown. So if you do go too light, just remember to add more of the darker tone in, and you'll be able to get the steps up or down that you require. So again, using the insane detail brush, just very carefully applying some paint to all of the raised parts of the boots, the toe cap and the belt line as well. And this time we're going to step up the brightness again, so keeping an eye on the previous mixed brown, and this time making sure we've got a slightly lighter one, and again adding in that was too much water, so we just scraped some off and added in a tiny drop of water here. Keep that paint fluid, especially when trying to blend highlights. So once more, just applying slightly less paint to the very edges again, leaving the previous highlight showing through slightly. and on to the next step of charred brown. This time pretty much taking 90% leather brown and adding in 10% charred brown to give the sort of final extreme highlight on the very tips of the boots and belt. And as always, adding in a little droplet of water there. As you can see, being very careful using the edge of the brush here, just to tap on, scrape on some paint to the toes, all the ridges in the boots, and the top of the boots there as well. Next, we're just going to use some. This is Army Painter's Zombie Skin, which is it's a beige, and this is just for the shoelaces, which unfortunately are difficult to see at this angle. This one's easier, so you can see the shoelaces are painted on there. And for the final colour, it's just dead black, and this is just for the base of the model, just to make it sort of pop and stand out. It's very different to my Arcadia Quest model, but this is how I've painted my Zombicide heroes, and I think it produces a good, strong effect and lets you concentrate on how the model looks. So hopefully you can see him here. It's quite different to the usual Arcadia Quest models I've painted so far, but I hope you think he looks good. So let us know what you think in the comments below. Did you enjoy the model? Would you like to see more from this game? And would you like to see Benson help me more? As I mentioned before, I'll put the link to the Kickstarter in the description below, along with all the ways to find me on social media. Thanks for watching.